Hello, I'm Peggy Bryan, the Director of the Rockland Council on Aging and Senior Center. I would like to welcome you to this episode of Senior Safety. Senior Safety is a collaborative effort between the Rockland Senior Center and District Attorney Tim Cruz, Sheriff Joe McDonald, and the PAC TV. It was created to bring valuable information to our senior community during the current pandemic. The topics that we will explore for this episode will include elder financial abuse and exploitation, as well as recent scams that have surfaced in our area. Our guests for this segment include Plymouth County District Attorney Tim Cruz, Stacy Driscoll, our outreach coordinator, and Yvonne Mari, our receptionist. Welcome, District Attorney Cruz. What can you tell us about elder financial abuse and exploitation?
Well, hi, Peggy. Hi, Yvonne. Hi, Stacy. I want to thank everyone for being, once again, so innovative during these challenging times as we continue to do Zoom meetings, because I think it's really important that we get the word out on this stuff and that our seniors know a lot of the important information that's ongoing. And elder financial abuse and exploitation continues to be a real problem here in the United States. And unfortunately, it's expected to rise with the increasing number of those people aging in the US. People living longer, and that's a good thing, but it also gives more targets for the bad guys who are trying to steal from you. According to the National Center on Elder Abuse, which is part of the United States Administration on Aging, 41 in 1,000 elders have reported financial abuse. And this rate is higher than those who have reported for neglect, emotional, physical, or sexual abuse of our elders. And really disturbing, in an article in AARP, they say that older adults lose approximately $36 billion to scams, fraud, and exploitation. That's billions with a B. This type of abuse affects everybody. Everybody has aging parents, relatives, friends, anybody who can fall victim to exploitation. So as we all grow older, we have to help make sure that we can protect ourselves from falling to these same sort of issues. With the increase in elder financial abuse and exploitation, law enforcement, financial regulators, firms, and professionals have focused their attentions and resources on dismantling these operations that are out there and getting the word out about them. New measures to protect older adults have been introduced over the past few years at both the state and national levels. Because financial elder abuse and exploitation is, quite simply put, the illegal and improper use of an older person's funds, assets, or property. It is a crime to take advantage of an older person for financial gain.
District Attorney Cruz, could you tell us who usually commits these types of crimes?
Sure, Stacey, that's a great question. It's often committed by people who are close to us, family members who think that they may be entitled to an elder's assets, caregivers who are handling the finances of an older adult due to cognitive issues, and caregivers of elders who are living in long-term care facilities. Elder financial abuse and exploitation can occur in any setting, such as at home, a community, or a facility where there's an expectation of trust and or when an older person is targeted based upon their age or their disability. This crime is committed when an individual who stands in a position of trust or confidence with an older adult or a person with a disability, knowingly, either by deception or intimidation, obtains control over that person's property and illegally uses their assets or their resources for themselves.
Attorney Cruz, can you give us some signs to look out for, as well as some examples of what elder financial abuse and exploitation looks like?
Sure, Yvonne. Some examples of financial elder abuse is, say, somebody stealing an older adult's cash. Family members may ask for money or actually intimidate the elder into giving them money. Sometimes you have suspicious activity on bank accounts. Somebody withdraws money from an elder's account, their bank account, without the appropriate authorization. If you notice that bills are piling up due to lack of funds or bills are just plain not being paid. Suspicious activity on credit cards with unusual purchases. when somebody cashes an elder's check without authorization, when somebody's using an elder's credit card without authorization, or somebody has transferred their property deeds without authorization, that unfortunately occurs also. When somebody misuses a power of attorney or forces an elder to change a power of attorney to a new caretaker or a friend, or when somebody has stolen the elder's identity, all of those things are examples of financial elder abuse.
District Attorney Cruz, can you tell us why older adults are targets?
Sure, Peggy. I mean, quite simply, the adults are the most vulnerable targets for financial exploitation due to three kind of interrelated sets of factors. One, the first factor is health related. The aging process can bring about cognitive and physical changes that elevate the risk. These changes might include cognitive impairment, poor physical health, functional impairment, or dependency on others. The second factor is due to retirement trends. The wealth and the assets that an older adult has accumulated through their life makes him a strong and viable target for people who want to take from them. The third issue would be to demographic trends. And currently there are steep rises in the elder populations. The elder population, whether it's right or wrong, is where the criminal perceives the money is. That's based upon the fact that older adults are more likely to have an increase in financial resources, more so than their younger counterparts. And also there's a higher prevalence of social isolation and cognitive impairment. One would think that elders who are barely making it or barely making ends meet, that you think they'd be safe from this, but studies have shown that they're at an even greater risk. That's in due part because seniors still have something that the abuser wants, whether it's an apartment or home to live in, equity in a home, or a regular source of income from that pension or social security amount of money that that individual gets every month. Criminals are constantly thinking up new scams that target the senior population. And they do that because they're successful at it. And that's why it's important for us to make sure we keep people apprised of what's going on. So we'll get into a few of these in just a moment or two. Stacey, you're muted.
How can we protect ourselves from being a victim of financial exploitation?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's easier said than done. I think the most important thing that all of us can do is to remain vigilant and watch out for each other. Some ways in which you can safeguard yourself are never pay bills, via telephone, or give your credit card information to people that you don't know or that you don't trust. Speak to your bank about setting up withdrawal limits and put alerts in all your accounts. When you're adding a cosigner to your bank account, make sure you choose wisely and carefully. Whomever you choose on that account will be a joint account, and they will have legal access to your money with or without you being there with them. Always, always, always shred your sensitive information, your documents, and your receipts. You can get a shredder anywhere. They're relatively cheap, or I'm sure there's one at the COA. Every day we're all getting credit card issues or some mailings or something. Don't just throw them away. We're still dealing with people who, believe it or not, will dive into dumpsters and go through trash and get unopened applications such as that. Always stay alert and limit the number of people who have access to your money. And unfortunately, I also caution you to be very wary of loaning money to your friends and family, because if they fail to repay a loan, that's not viewed as a crime. It's viewed as a loan. That's a civil matter, not a criminal matter. And if you have to go to civil court on your own and try to recoup your loss, that can be a long, challenging, and often unsuccessful road. We can all run our credit reports annually from the 3 credit reporting companies. So say you threw some stuff away and somebody now has your information. In Massachusetts, you are entitled to 1 free copy of your credit report from each company for a total of 3 every year. So you can request your free copy by contacting one of the 3 credit reporting companies that exist, either on phone or on the web. And that information, I'll give the sites out now, but the information is also on our website. So if I talk too fast or you don't catch what I say, on the PlymouthDA.com, anything I say today will be on there. But you can call Equifax at 1-800-685-1111. It's It's also at Equifax.com. Experian is the second one, 1-888-397-3742, or Experian.com, or TransUnion, 1-800-916-8800, TransUnion.com. So like I said, you can request one a year from each of those companies. So what you can do is every 4 months, you can request one. So in January, you could ask for one from Equifax. And then 4 months later in April, you can get one from Experian. And then 4 months later, you can get one from TransUnion. This way, you'll be able to see whether or not somebody has opened up an account in your name. And you can see whether or not your credit score is going down as a result of that. Because you probably, if they are doing that, you probably don't know. And very well, somebody is ginning up money on you, and you really don't know much about it. One of the most important things we all have to do, we have to continue to talk about these issues, but we also, if you've been a victim of financial crime, and many times people are embarrassed, they feel that, that they've been taken advantage of and they're embarrassed by that. That's the worst thing we can do, is just be quiet about it. If it happens to you, please go to your police, and we'll help to the extent that we can, but also just as importantly, we can get the word out to everybody else so that if there is a scam going around, somebody else may not fall in the same trap. And you should never be embarrassed by this, because these people are professional thieves. This is what they do. They're really good at it. And if they weren't successful at it, they wouldn't do it.
District Attorney Cruz, you mentioned previously that criminals are constantly thinking up new scams that target the senior population. Could you expand on that?
Sure. I mean, I think we can all agree that right now, the last year, 13, 14 months, we're living through unprecedented times. And some of the recent scams that we've been seeing and dealing with have been focused on our seniors. And since the start of the coronavirus outbreak, law enforcement officials across the world have reported a significant increase in scams and cybercrimes, all related to misinformation and fear associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. It's too bad, but there are people out there in this world who are trying to take advantage of crises and situations, and they're going after vulnerable people who are trusting and who are good-natured, and they try to take advantage of that. I think we're all working hard to stay safe and healthy every day, but we also need to practice that same sort of vigilance on the people who may be going after the things that we've all worked for so hard for our life.
District Attorney Cruz, what types of scams have you been seeing and how do they work?
Well, I think that, one of the scams that's been around forever, and there's always been different versions of it, but we continue to deal with it, and we've dealt with here, unfortunately, in our county, is the Grandparent Scam. And that, you probably hear various versions of it. We get it in various ways, but basically what happened here in our county is that the usual things, a senior will get a phone call in the middle of the night. And we all know that if somebody's calling you in the middle of the night, it's never a good reason. There's always something about that. You get that call, you're startled, you're upset, and you're trying to find out what's going on. So you get that call, and you're going to hear a voice on the other end, and that person's going to be saying, "Grandma, Grandpa," and they're going to be posing as a member of your family. And they're going to say that they need help. And the normal story you'll hear is, I need your help, Grandma. I need your help, Grandpa. I just got arrested. My parents are going to kill me if I call them. So please, can you send me bail money? Or they'll say, me and my friends, we took a quick trip to Canada and we just got robbed. I don't have any money to get back. Can you please send me the money because I can't get in touch with Mom and Dad? Or you'll see the COVID stuff now. And in COVID, the one that we had here in our county was an individual, a senior, got a phone call from allegedly their grandson, and was told that at the very beginning of the pandemic, that he was driving his car with a buddy of his up in New Hampshire and got into a car accident. And in that car accident, somebody got hurt, not the boy, but the person that he hit. And he was told that he was being charged with a criminal offense and he was going to be held on bail. And because of COVID, court wasn't open every day like it normally is. It wasn't going to be open for another 7 to 10 days. So that means if that boy couldn't come up with the bail, he'd be in jail up in New Hampshire for 7 to 10 days. And that started the whole scenario of which there was a demand and it's handed off.
District Attorney Cruz, wouldn't I be able to recognize my grandchild's voice?
No, that's a great question because we all think that we would. But remember, they're calling us in the middle of the night. They're catching us off guard. they're throwing really a traumatic situation at you in the middle of the night. And you have a voice that you're only going to hear a few words from that alleged child who's your grandchild. Because as soon as you say, Johnny, is that you? Susie, is that you? As soon as you do that, then they start focusing on the next person in that group. In other words, that person, like that case I was talking about, they said, well, my friend's father's a lawyer. So now you can talk to him because he knows what's going on. He can tell you what to do. So now you're no longer talking to your grandson or your granddaughter. You are talking to an individual who's allegedly in a position to help your grandchild. So this person is going to start talking to you. And the longer you talk to that person, you're going to find out he or she will be talking to you about the sum of money that you need to come up with. They will talk to you about how you're going to deliver that money to them. They'll probably talk to you throughout the day. They'll talk to you also about not telling anybody. And often you will see, and in this case, the case I was talking about with that phone call for up in the New Hampshire scenario, they told this woman not to tell anybody. They told her to go to the bank and get $8,000 cash, which she did. And she went to the bank, and because it was an unusual situation, most bank tellers are trained nowadays to say if a senior, if anybody comes in and makes an unusual request, say, are you okay? Are you sure? And this person said, no, I'm okay. I'm fine. I just need the $8,000. They didn't tell that person. They got the $8,000. They subsequently were on the phone all day long about where they were going to meet. And eventually, believe it or not, they sent a courier to this woman's house. And this person parked at the end of the driveway. And because of COVID, they were wearing a mask. And the woman came down her steps and gave $8,000 cash to this courier. And then that courier drove away. Gone. Now, and of course they told her you'll get a call from your grandson shortly. The call never comes. She then makes a phone call, to that child's, the grandchild's parents, and then talks to the grandchild and the parents to say this was a scam. It never happened. In that one case, fortunately, the town that we worked with, the state police were notified. We were actually able to make an arrest on that case, and that case is now working its way through Plymouth County. That's the good news. The bad news is, however, is that generally speaking, once the money's gone, or once the credit cards or whatever it is, whatever information they get from you is gone, more likely than not, we're not going to get it back. And that's why talking about these issues are really so important.
District Attorney Cruz, what should I do if I receive one of these calls?
If you get one of these calls or a text or an email claiming to be a grandchild, a family member, whatever, and they sound desperate for money, number one is resist the urge to act immediately. No matter how dire, no matter how real the story sounds, you need to verify the caller's ID. So therefore, try not to mention the name of any family member or any friend. Because remember, they're phishing. They're looking for information from you, and they're going to, what little you give them, they're going to extrapolate and pull it and use it against you. Do try to ask questions that a stranger wouldn't have the answer to. And don't be afraid to reach out to family members to verify the facts of this story, even if you've been told to keep it a secret. First of all, if it's your kids, you're probably going to tell them anyway at some point. You might as well tell them at the outset. So second of all, ask yourself, why do they want me to keep it quiet? And also, most importantly, never, ever, ever give cash, gift cards, or money transfers. I mean, think that bail scenario. Do you think the New Hampshire trial court's going to take a gift card from Costco? But that's what they're trying to get. They want you to go buy cards. They want to get the numbers off the cards. They relay that information. Because once the money's gone, it's gone usually. And it's very difficult to find these people, very difficult to prosecute them, and getting restitution is incredibly difficult.
District Attorney Cruz, are there any other scams targeting seniors that we should all be aware of?
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of fraudulent COVID-19 scams that are going on. They've surfaced. They continue to be in our communities. They pertain to contact tracing and fraudulent billing of Medicare and COVID testing and treatment and supplies. The way one of them works is that the scammer is going to call and say something to the effect of, good morning. According to our system, you will likely have been in close proximity to somebody who has tested positive for COVID-19. That means that you now need to self-isolate for 14 days or 7 days now and take a COVID-19 test. Now, if somebody said that to you, if you said that to me, the first thing I'm saying to you is, well, who was I near? Who got COVID-19? And the next piece of information you're going to get is they're going to say, well, somebody tested positive, but because of HIPAA and federal health laws, they're not allowed to tell you who. They can't give you that information. And that actually might be accurate, but it's also a good ruse for them to hide behind. So then they're going to tell you that as the victim, you're going to need to be tested within 72 hours. And they want your mailing address, the best one that you have, and they're going to send you a kit. And then they're going to proceed to ask you for a credit card for a payment of $50. And then when you start questioning that topic about a fee, you're going to be told that testing is not free. This is a one-time fee of $50 for the kit and the test results. And if you continue to be reluctant to give out your numbers, as you should be, they're going to pressure you to read off the credit card numbers. And when the victim pushes back, there shouldn't be a fee, the scammer is going to start threatening you with penalties for not complying. Now, if we all recall, earlier this year, the Massachusetts Senior Medicare Patrol Program sent out an alert warning seniors to never accept any form of COVID-19 testing from anybody other than a treating licensed physician or from a state designated testing site. Because of this, scammers have been known to go door to door and approach people in public with an offer to test them for coronavirus. They give you a false positive result, then they offer to treat you immediately. Through this scam, scammers have illegally obtained Medicare numbers and money, and they've even gone so far as to bill Medicare for the sham testing, the treatment, and the supplies. Another scam that's ongoing is a Social Security scam. Telephone scammers that are pretending to be government employees working for the Social Security Administration or some other government agency. They're going to assist them, they're going to send you false documents. And they look very official. You usually get them via email. This is kind of a form of phishing. They tell you there's a problem or there's an issue with your Social Security number or your account, or you owe a debt or you owe a fine. And then they're going to start threatening to arrest you or pursue other legal action if you don't pay. The scammer asks you to pay the debt with, once again, or the fine with retail gift cards, prepaid debit cards, wire transfers, or cash. Once again, there's no legitimate agency that's asking for those things.
This is very alarming. How can I protect myself from this type of scam?
Well, keep in mind, first and foremost, that a government employee, no matter what agency they work for, they might call you, but they're never going to threaten you. And if we all recall, just recently, probably in the last year, so we all were dealing with the Irs phone calls. We were all getting those. And you get a phone call from the IRS, and they were basically saying that if you owed money, and they were screaming at you, and if you didn't pay, they were going to come and arrest you. Well, I'm going to tell you the same secret that I've been telling seniors throughout Plymouth County. But you got to promise me you don't tell anybody. It's a law enforcement secret. When the police are going to come and arrest you, they're not going to call you first. They're just coming. So if people are screaming at you about being arrested, it's not gonna happen. All right. So that's how you can tell. An employee of the Social Security Administration is never going to suspend or has the ability to suspend your number just through that phone call. An employee of Social Security or any government agency is never going to demand immediate payment from you or demand that you pay, once again, with cash, gift cards, debit cards, wire transfers. If you receive a call from a government agent that you believe is threatening, you ask to speak to that supervisor immediately.
District Attorney Cruz, I received an email from Amazon telling me that my Prime membership is up and that my card associated with my Prime account is no longer valid. It wants me to update my card or add a new card to the account. Is this a scam or is it real?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you asked the question because I get the same emails. We're all getting them. Remember, they throw enough out there. Somebody will bite on it. So this is most likely a phishing scam. And during the pandemic, we have seen an increase in phishing scam emails that have malware incorporated to them. And these emails often contain misleading information and false links. Malware means they can get in and steal your information. A few of the phishing scams that we've seen here in Plymouth County seem to be coming from credit card companies, Amazon, Comcast, Netflix, and Facebook. They're all landing in all of our email boxes. Oh, you're muted, Peggy. Oh, you're still muted. There you go.
All right, sorry.
That's okay.
District Attorney Cruz, what in the world is a phishing scam and how does it work?
No, you're right. I mean, all these scams can be pretty confusing. I mean, first of all, if you don't understand what a phishing scam is, It's spelled phishing with a PH instead of an F. And phishing is a type of online scam where criminals are going to send an email or a text message that appears to be from a legitimate company. The scam usually involves an alarming ruse to startle you so that you're going to be inclined to follow their instructions and provide your sensitive personal information. These emails and text messages have malware incorporated into them, and they often contain misleading information and false links. So for example, in the Amazon email scam that you're talking about, a person is going to receive an email saying that their Amazon Prime subscription is about to expire, but there's something wrong with the credit card associated with that account. It needs to be updated, or a new card needs to be added to that subscription. And you're going to look at the email. It's going to look legitimate. The Amazon logo is going to be there. The from box on the top of the email states that it's from Amazon Prime. But when you click on the word Amazon Prime in the from box, you're going to see a really weird looking email address on that display. That's a great way to determine whether or not that email is fraudulent and that it's a scam. Keep in mind that any link contained in this email is probably malware. Malware is designed to steal your personal information that you enter on forms that they have supplied you. So if you put your information on that form and click it back to them, all your personal information, credit card numbers, social security numbers, they've got it.
Thank you, District Attorney Cruz, for taking the time to speak with us today. This is great information and valuable resource for our senior community. Where can our viewers go to get additional information regarding the resources offered by your office?
Well, thanks. All this information and everything else I've talked about and more, quite honestly, is on our website, PlymouthDA.com. We have all information, websites, phone numbers, anything that you have. We have a phone number here that if you have a situation that you may not understand, please don't hesitate to call our office at 508-584-8120. But go on to PlymouthDA.com. That information will be there. I want to thank you all for inviting me onto your show today. It's a pleasure to participate with you and also with Stacy and Yvonne. I hope everybody is well. Hope everybody stays safe. And thanks again.
Well, I would like to take this opportunity to thank District Attorney Cruz once again for coming on our program. A special thank you to Stacy Driscoll and Yvonne for coming on and asking great questions. I would like to thank all of you at home for tuning in to watch this show. This wraps up our episode of Senior Safety. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Tim.
everybody.
I was a victim of the Amazon the other day.
Were you really?
Yeah, and in fact, the person at home called me and said, you need to call, and this is someone that lives with me, he said, you need to call Amazon right away. Someone got into your account. Of course, I knew not to do that, but it's like, there you go. They caught him off guard and thought it was real.
Yeah,
So-
no, you got to remember these guys, like I said, these guys are really good. And the thing is, they throw so many lines in the water. I mean, phishing is actually a good word for it. And they only need a few people to bite on it to make their score.
Yeah.
So if you don't pick up your phone, like, if you don't have caller ID and you continue to pick your phone up, if the studies have shown that if you do that, the longer you're on the phone with these people, the more likely it is you're either going to buy something or give them information. So I often tell people to, just hang up. I mean, if you picked up by mistake, I would only pick up if I knew who it was, that if the number clicks in, because there are so many, even with the do not call registries, you can be on that, both state and federal, but they only good for like a year or so, and then you have to re-up them because they still get through and they still call you. So like I said, these people are there, unfortunately, they're there to stay. And I think getting the word out is the way to go so that people understand that, everybody's not good. A lot of these people are looking to get your information, steal what you've worked for, so hard your whole life. So hopefully, shows like this, we're doing them all throughout the county, are valuable resources for people to just watch it for 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is. And maybe we prevent somebody from getting something stolen from them.
Yeah. Well, I hope people watch it. It was great. I appreciate your time. It was awesome.
Great. All right, guys. Well, thanks. You have a good day.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
you too.